Hi Capricorn, welcome to your June, can you believe it, 2025 Master Monthly video. So June tests your endurance and also your willingness to share power. This isn't really just about it's not about doing more. It's really about doing it differently. The spotlight is really shifting to your relationships, both the personal and professional, and it's asking you to confront where the mutual effort, support, and trust have been lacking. So, with Jupiter entering your seventh house and several key transits that are lighting up your axis of self and other, the month ahead really isn't about retreat. It's actually about honest reflection, renegotiation, and setting the terms of your next evolution. It's partnership, but on your terms, just the way that you like it, Capricorn. So, with that said, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael. This is your Capricorn Master Monthly video. If you are a continued subby, you know Rafi loves you. And if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to like, share, and if you should so choose, and this resonates, hit that subscribe button. Also, I just wanted to say I am using the whole sign tropical Western astrology system. For those of you that would like to know, there is also a key dates slide at the end of the video so that you can get all of the dates as well. And as if that wasn't enough, a lot of you always ask, like, which one's my sun, my moon, or my ascendant? Well, my answer to that, the honest answer is both. And there's a reason for this. In terms of the astrology portion of these videos, your astrology always favors your ascendant. So you have to pay attention to that more first and foremost. But tarot favors your sun sign more, right? I don't know why, it just does. Now, that being said, for that reason, my advice to you would be if you're going to watch these and you want to use them to best effect, watch both your sun and your rising sign so that you can get a much clearer, more cohesive message. And if you want to understand yourself at that deeper, more emotional level, check out your moon sign. So, on the first of the month, Venus is coming into a conjunction with Chiron in your fourth house. This might hit you where you live, either literally or emotionally. Venus meeting Chiron in the fourth house is drawing attention to any deep-rooted insecurities or unspoken griefs that are tied to family, childhood, your sense of self, your sense of security, right? Your sense of your belonging to your tribe. Something old around family matters, issues, especially around the mother or around the home or the living situation, may really resurface at this time. And maybe a story or a narrative, or maybe even, that you've outgrown, or maybe even a wound that you have either normalized, ignored, or maybe just overplayed. And I'm going to say this, and I want to be delicate here because I've got my own stuff around family, I can assure you. But the truth of the matter is, who you are now versus who you were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 40 years ago, if you're my age, right, is different. And if you're going to keep replaying your wounds so that you can make somebody the villain in your story, you're not moving forward. You're not truly evolving into the person that you are meant to be. And I'm not saying you erase the past or you forget about it, but there has to come a point where you can kind of say, okay, you know what? I think I've punished you and myself and picked at the scab or the wound enough at this point to just put it down and move forward, right? Let this be the day that you no longer allow or take emotional responsibility for things that were never yours to carry, but equally, don't put your feelings on somebody else for them to sort out, because that's just the same thing in a different version, like in a different version or a different guise. On the 6th of the month, Venus enters Taurus. Now, Venus for you rules your fifth house of Taurus, and it also rules your 10th house of career. Sorry, I had a moment there. And so Venus coming into the sign of Taurus, she's strong in this sign. This is Venus coming into her own home, should I say, On the same day, we've got the moon in Libra. So this is a strong, there was a very strong Venusian energy in the sky at this time, especially on this day, because we've got the moon in Libra. That moon in Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is in the sign of Taurus. So there's a lot of very strong, very emotional, very palpable Venusian energy in the sky. And that moon is going to trine Mercury, which is in your sixth house. So Venus in Taurus is bringing a wave of beauty and healing and pleasure and romance into your fifth house. It's bringing creativity and joy. It's also helping enhance your personal talents and bring the best qualities of you forward. If you've got children, they could be an immense, something that they're sharing with you, something that's happening with or for them, could be bringing you immense joy and a lot of pride at this moment in time as well. There's a chance to fall back in love with life itself here, to prioritize passion and pleasure and play. Whatever is in like romantic connections or creative projects, maybe time with children if you've got them, sweetness kind of returns at this point. Meanwhile, Libra trines Mercury and activates your work-life balance. So conversations with authority figures or colleagues could really open the door to better or sort of maybe even easier rhythms in some way. Now, on the 8th of the month, Mercury comes into a conjunction with Jupiter in your sixth house of your work, your daily habits, daily patterns, daily routines. And Mercury conjunct Jupiter at the very tail end of the sign, I might add. This is happening at like 29 degrees of Gemini. This is a blessing in your work or your wellness center. So just before both of these planets leave your sixth house of work, daily habits, patterns, routines, this is a day to pitch an idea, to renegotiate your schedule, or maybe even to start something new that improves how you function, how you move through life in some regard. A mentor or a coach or even a healer could appear with guidance that really shifts your trajectory at this time. It could even be somebody at work or somebody at the job comes along and says, hey, listen, I really like the way that you work. I love your work ethic. Let me take you under my wing. And maybe because it's Gemini, and it's at the tail end of this, it might not necessarily be that they're in your world or in your life for a long time. It may just be at this moment they deliver some kind of important information or message and then they kind of go out, right? It's like a benefactor or a blessing from heaven that comes in on that daily level into your work, drops some profound or important or useful knowledge or information, and then they zip off again. Pay attention to contracts and offers at this time. They could hold a lot more promise than you realize. On the 9th of the month, Mercury comes into the sign of Cancer. Now, I actually really like Mercury in Cancer. It's really great for memory. It's really good for talking about your feelings or helping you at least bring them to the fore. And Mercury in Cancer is also really good for heightening the intuition. So, coming into your seventh house of relationships, partnerships, those are personal, professional, and platonic. The focus shifts to those relationships. You're talking about them more. Maybe you're having deeper conversations within your one-to-one relationships. Mercury in Cancer is softening the communication and it's helping you speak or communicate with a greater sense of emotional fluidity or fluency. This is a time for vulnerability, right? Not a time for weakness. That's not what I'm talking about here, but it's a time to really be emotionally precise, to talk about, to have conversations with a partner, or maybe open space or dialogue for agreements or new agreements that you're hoping to foster in your life. It's not about compromise, it's really about clarity. On the 10th of the month, Jupiter comes into the sign of Cancer. This is beginning a 12-month journey through this sign. This is a once in 12-year transit, right? So, because Jupiter takes literally a whole year, right, to move through a sign. So that's something to think about. Now, this is moving into your seventh house. Now, whenever Jupiter comes into a sign, Jupiter is known as the greater benefic. So it's bringing blessings, it's bringing opportunities in your relationships, your personal, professional, or platonic relationships. Can be familial as well. Now, Jupiter for you in your sign rules your third house of communications, but it also rules your 12th house of your past, your hidden, your private self, right? It also rules your history in some regards. Now, this can bring an expansion to new partnerships because Jupiter also rules your 12th, though. It wouldn't surprise me if old partners, old work partners, old connections or collaborations come back into the fore over the course of this new year or this next year, right? And it could be that you're working with them in a different way or in a different capacity. Mercury squaring Saturn on the same day and Neptune in the sign of Aries. This is happening across your seventh house and your fourth house. So your emotions in relationships could really be squaring off, like your emotions and your deep-seated and rooted emotions past your history, etc., could really be putting a lot of pressure on your relationships at the moment. And because you've got Saturn and Neptune in the fourth house, there's a reality check of some sort that maybe leaves you confused about a specific relationship. So it could be, there's a little bit of a tangle here. There's no getting around that. Mercury squaring the Saturn and Neptune as well could be a confusion or a delay in communication around home, property, family, or real estate matters. A sibling, a neighbor, maybe even a parent. You could be having like really, because obviously the fourth house is parents, usually mother, and Mercury can be siblings. So there's something about this combination that could really bring these things up. Now, this combination deepens as we come into the 11th of the month, and this square is really going to push you to define your terms. Jupiter really wants to say yes to everything about these new partnerships or relationships, etc. And Saturn and Neptune are saying, not yet, because we don't have all of the facts, or maybe we need to be really clear about how we really feel about this versus what people want to hear from us or what we think is socially acceptable in terms of social etiquette. This is about getting really honest with yourself and saying, you know what, yes, I want to, or no, I don't. Here are the reasons why, and here's where that is possible to change, and here's where it's really not up for negotiation or discussion. On the 17th of the month, Mars, the planet of action, energy, passion, excitation, irritation, inflammation, war, surgeons and cutting things, and lasers, comes into the sign of Virgo. I like Mars in Virgo. Mars in Virgo is a good little soldier. It does what it needs to do, and it's in the ninth house. This is your house of travel and truth, your longer term vision. It's also your house of your beliefs. And so you might get really tetchy when people start to, certainly over the next 4 to 6 weeks, maybe you start to get a little bit tetchy when people question your beliefs. Now, Mars for you rules your fourth house of your home and your 11th house of the future. So at this time, because it's in the ninth house, how you communicate with or to the world about what you are really emotive about could be a real consideration. You might feel the urge to plan, some kind of international trip or overseas trip. This could really do wonders for that. If you're thinking about publishing a book or sharing something with the digital or the online sphere, these could all be coming up at the moment as well. Maybe there's something that you really feel a burning need to share with the world in some way. It could be that as well. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if some of you are blowing the whistle on something at work or in a work or academic situation. I will say with this transit in general, expect strong opinions, sharp insights, and the drive to make your beliefs become real or become tangible. Be mindful not to bulldoze others with that certainty, though, because the truth doesn't need to shout. All right, when you know something to be the truth, like there's a saying that I have that I absolutely love, and I've said this to some people in the like in the absolute heat of arguments, and it just squashes shit. And that's sometimes just knowing what you could say is enough, right? I'm telling you, many an argument I have absolutely squashed with that one. Just saying, you know what? Just knowing what I could say to you, right? Because it reminds people I got them receipts. Don't fuck with me. Now, on the 21st of the month, The sun enters the sign of Cancer, and this is what we call certainly in the northern hemisphere, this is the summer solstice. In the southern hemisphere, this is the winter solstice. And this is setting up the next half of the year, right? And the sun for you in your chart rules the eighth house of other people's money. It rules secrets. It rules the place of your deep psychology. And it also rules illumination and authority. And so the sun coming into your relationship sector is illuminating your relationships. It's helping you understand that for the next 6 months ahead, even though this is only a 1 month transit, but this is what's really going to be at the forefront. It's bringing partnerships of all kinds, those personal, professional, platonic, and even familial ties to the fore. It's a moment for you to really recommit, release, or redefine what connection actually means to you. You're halfway through the astrological year at this point as well. So, who is really walking with you into the next season of your life? You'll feel it, you'll see it very, very clearly at this moment in time. On the 22nd of the month, Mercury is going to trine the North Node in Pisces and sextile the South Node in the sign of Virgo. This is setting up a connection across your seventh house of relationships, your fifth house of joy, romance, creativity, self-expression, and a personal business if you have one, and your first house of, excuse me, sorry, not your first house, your, oh my gosh, I've lost it, your third house and your ninth houses. And Mercury at this point will be in your seventh, right? So in this connection and the way that they show up, relationships really are being called into question. But another part of that is also how you move through and the conversations that you're having around these things. Now, remember, whenever we're talking about Mercury in connection to the nodes, you're talking about fated messages or information or contacts even that come to you via the connections that you have. Now, because we're talking about the nodes, this is third house, ninth house stuff for you. And so it's possible that some of the conversations that you're having at this time are really helping you put things into perspective and sequence for how you move forward with them. On the 23rd of the month, Mercury is going to square Chiron. Now, remember, whenever we're talking about a square in astrology, this is an energy of irritation or conflict. And it usually, like the way that I like to positively reframe a square in astrology is it's an aspect that creates enough tension or annoyance to say, right, fuck this, I'm not having that experience again. And so it makes you get really proactive and do something about it. Mercury squaring Chiron, it can be a tender one because a conversation that you have with a partner, with a family member, with a roommate could stir old wounds. Maybe somebody in one of these areas of your life says something to you and it makes you really sort of sit up and pay attention. And the reason you're paying attention is because it might feel like what one of these persons say to you, personal, professional, platonic, or even familial, maybe they say something to you and the reaction that you feel inside is like visceral. You feel like, like I've just been punched in the gut or something. If you feel unseen or underappreciated in any way, shape, or form, don't bury it. Speak your truth, right? Choose the softer path so that you can really, really open up a dialogue and talk it out. And I will say that sometimes the most radical thing that you can do is ask for what you need without an apology, right? This isn't about begging for what you need. It's about you acknowledging and observing, wow, shit, this really woke something up in me that is, tired, buried, twisted, hurt, or whatever. And now that I understand this, I need to know, do you see me in this way? Or is it just my feeling? And more importantly, this is what I need to get past it. Are you able to provide that? This isn't about begging for scraps. It's about really asking for what you need so that you can make forward strides in your life. On the 24th of the month, Jupiter comes into a cazimi with the sun. This is one of the luckiest transits of the year, right? This is Jupiter, the Lord of blessings and abundance and growth and expansion, opportunity, levity, the law, cosmic support, even if you like, if you want to put it that way, comes into a conjunction with the sun, the most warm, life-affirming energy that there is in the chart. And it's bringing attention and healing and blessings and opportunities to and through your seventh house of relationships. This is wonderful, right? Because it's a golden opportunity, a new connection, a moment of joy and clarity within a current dynamic, or potentially bringing in new ones. Whether this is love, whether it's business, or maybe even just soul alliance, something significant comes out of this, and it's life affirming, and it really starts now. Especially because it's a cycle, right? Like they've come together, and then we're going to see that go through a cycle. Trust what expands you at this moment in time, or should I say, trust who expands you. On the 25th of the month, Mercury is going to sextile Uranus. And this is, remember, a sextile is kind of like Jupiter energy. It only gives you the opportunity. You have to do something with it. Unexpected conversations may bring breakthroughs in love, career, or creative ideas or partnerships. Someone may really surprise you with their honesty and maybe even brings forward a bold new idea or offer in some regard. This could be a partner that comes forward and says something that you're like, wow, like in all the years we've been together, I've never heard you say something like that. And it could be overwhelmingly positive, but again, it's a sextile. So it will be something that you have to work with, work within, action, something that you will need to pitch in with. It's not just going to be like, ta-da, here's what you want. This is a really great time for collaborative and reconnective efforts. Don't cling to the old format if a new one excites your whole, being. Like if you feel like, oh, there's something in that direction, then follow it, go, listen. Could also be as well, if you've got children, they could come to you and give you some kind of surprising news at this time. On the 26th of the month, the sun is going to sextile Mars. So again, we've got another opportunity between your seventh house of partnerships and relationships and Mars in your ninth house, right? So this is like a shared mission that begins to really come together. It's a great day for mapping long-term goals with somebody else, whether this is a romantic or a professional alignment, especially with what comes next. Now that we've got this information, now that we know this, where are we going from here? Mars is bringing the fire and the energy and the passion and the excitation, and the sun is bringing the vision, the illumination, and in your case as well, it's also bringing something up from the depths of your psyche so that you're able to really find or move towards a greater sense of purpose. Lean into it at this time. On the 27th of the month, Mercury comes into the sign of Leo. Now, Mercury is going to go retrograde here later on, so do keep that as a consideration. The tone deepens, right? Mercury in Leo brings bold, clear dialogue around money, sex, power, powerlessness, transformation. It's in the sign of Leo, so there might be some kind of bold declaration. There might be some kind of conversation that you're having around joint finances and resources. It's also possible as well that this may center on your work, and not necessarily just like the grunt part of your work, but also the vision for the future around your work. Like, actually, where do I want to go with this? It is Mercury in the eighth house, so pay attention to your intuitive nudges. It's very possible that some kind of secret comes out or is shared with you at this time. And when it is, you might be a bit like, well, shit, my wig just got snatched. Do you know what I mean? It's like information that finds you that you're like, oh, well, now that I know that, I can, dot, dot, dot. You could be talking about shared assets, boundaries, joint projects if you've got them. Not that I need to tell you, but speak directly and demand that other people are honest with you as well. What you are saying at the moment could plant a seed for a deeper bond or maybe even a necessary shift in some of your one-to-one relationships. On the 29th of the month, Mercury is going to oppose Pluto. This is across your eighth house, second house axis. And this is not easy, right? I'm just going to say Pluto, and Pluto is in Aquarius newly and opposing Mercury. This is conversations around money, around control, around value. Who puts what in, who puts more in, who does more, who does less, who's got the power, who's got the money. As the saying goes, right? Whoever's got the gold makes the rules, right? We can see that on the wider world stage, but this could be a time of that in your personal life. It might also be that you are having big conversations around how you view and value yourself and how that needs to be reflected in the money, right? In some regard. Pluto doesn't let anything slide, right? If even Saturn quakes when Pluto enters a sign, right? Because Saturn, yes, absolutely is the hard taskmaster and says, if you don't do it right, if you ain't got integrity, then you will not pass, right? But Pluto is the cosmic auditor. When Pluto comes into a sign, wherever Pluto is involved, its primary function, while it's destroying everything at the time, its primary function is what is at the base of this? What is the absolute truth here? What is the pure potential? Which is why wherever Pluto goes, we see the pure potential of whatever it touches come to the surface, and then we see the surreptitious and the, quite frankly, the darker and deeper sort of lies and secrets around the manipulations and the power plays of wherever it is that's coming up and who's using that potential to their own benefit, right? So coming into an opposition with Mercury, and there's no getting around an opposition, right? You have to meet it head on. Well, Mercury is what you're talking about. Mercury is going to be in the sign of oh my gosh, come on, brain. Mercury will be in the sign of Leo, and that's highlighting your joint finances or your financial connections with others. And Pluto in the second house of your resources is really helping you understand how you see your own worth and value and whether that's reflected back at you from or through somebody else. And then finally, because Mercury for you in your chart rules your sixth house of work and your ninth house of truth, meaning, higher, learning and connections, which is housing the South Node at this time, there might be something around this that brings up a conversation that brings an ending. And so, my advice to you would be speak truth with precision and power. Deal with the facts, no matter what, right? No matter how ugly or, whatever somebody gets, don't get into all of that. Just hold on to the facts, deal with those and approach it head on, right? I mean, you're a Capricorn anyway, so everything is head on with you guys. Finally, on the 30th of the month, Venus begins but doesn't quite come into her conjunction with Uranus in your fifth house. Something shocking, right? That a somebody shares with you. Some shocking piece of information that comes to you from one of your children. It could also be that this is shaking things up in your love life. If you're single, you might have more than one option. You might start suddenly getting all this attention, and you're like, okay, why is this happening now? And since Uranus rules your second house of Aquarius, and it's bringing up considerations in the fifth house around love, relationship, partnership, but it's like the start of the relationship, right? The fifth house is, in order to do the seventh house, which is marriage, you got to do the fifth house. You got to date. You got to kiss a few frogs, right? You got to do all of that stuff. You got to let your heart race and get excited and do all of that kind of stuff. So that's the fifth house. You might meet someone new if you're single. Maybe you take a leap in a romantic connection if you're partnered. Maybe your partner comes forward and gives you some kind of really incredible news around money, finances, resources, maybe around a personal business if you've got one. You could receive really surprising or unexpected news around children or even artistic or creative endeavors. If something breaks at this time, it needed to. And if something surprises you, trust that it's a divine gift. So I'm not putting the lunations in these anymore because the videos were too long. Too many people were clicking off the algorithm, blah, 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 blah. You will get separate videos for your lunations from now on. So stay tuned for those. I think you're going to enjoy them. And also, if you haven't seen it and you've been living under a rock, my card blending workshop on the 7th and 8th of June. And this is you get to spend a weekend with me. I'm going to show you how to blend the meanings of the cards and bring and pull it all together. This isn't for pure beginners. You will need to have a basic knowledge of the structure of the deck, major, minor arcana, and you will need to have your meanings of the cards. You will need to know those. Otherwise, it's all going to be over your head, and I'm not going to be teaching that stuff in this class. But it is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be practical. It's going to be hands-on. I'm going to give you lots of examples, lots of things to work on, lots of things to, get stuck in, to shout out. There's going to be lots of bonus materials. For the first 20 students that sign up, for the first 20 people that sign up, you get £25 off. All of that offer will end on the 31st of May. There's a link for that in the description box below. So make sure you check that out. It's going to be a lot of fun. And it's something that you guys have been asking me for, right? Like, Raf, I know the meanings of the cards, but how do I bring it all together? How do I hold it all in my head? Well, that's what I'm going to show you. With that said, stay tuned while we get into your tarot, and I'll see you soon. Hi Capricorn, welcome to your June 2025 tarot section of your master monthly video. Can you believe it is June already? So these are the two decks that I'll be using for you today. Before we start, as always, I would like to bless my decks of cards with all forms of love, light, peace, prosperity and abundance. And I pray that the messages that come through are ultimately clear and concise. They help you on your path to your highest vibrational good. So I'm going to give these a shuffle. And we're going to get started. Let's get straight in. So let's see what is coming up for you over the course of this month. So you have the Hanged Man as your key to the month, right? So this month, your main message, the overarching energy, trend or theme that you're being encouraged to really find a way to sink into in all of these different areas of life is surrender. Right? The Hanged Man sometimes says to us, what's the best way to get what you want? Sometimes it's just to wait for it to come to you, right? The Hanged Man encourages us to take a spiritual approach, to step back, to take our hands off and to just kind of let things unfold as they will. Now, another way that this card can also show up as well is through the process of reassessment and realignment. This is a time of observation, right? That's what June is asking from you. There's not really anything that you have to do. This is a time to observe and reassess and realign your path based on the information or the data that comes through. All right, surrender to the current of what is and let things unfold as they will. So for your, before we get into your cards, I do want to mention that on the 7th and the 8th of June, I will be holding the card blending workshop. So if you want to check that out, there's a lot more answers for questions that you might have about it. There's a link in the description box below. It's going to tell you all the information that you need. But what I do want to share with you is, it's 4 hours each day, possibly longer, but I'm going to say 4 hours just to be sure. It's interactive. This is not just me talking at you for 4 hours a day. I'm going to give you examples. I'm going to give you lots of fun things to really cement this learning into your mind. You will get the recording, so don't worry about that. But also, this is not for the total beginner. All right, I do want to stress that, because if you don't know the basic meanings of the cards, if you're not aware of the structure of the deck, i.e. majors and minors, then this is not for you, right? But if you have a basic understanding of the cards and their meanings, if you are, if you want to learn how to read a question, if you want to learn how to pull it all together and blend those different meanings together, this workshop is absolutely for you. There's that link in the description box below. For the first 20 people that sign up, you get £25 off, or that offer will expire on the 31st of May. So get it as it is out there. and I would love to see you on this. It's going to be a lot of fun. So stay tuned because you'll be hearing all about it as the weeks go on. With that said, your actions and options, you have the Six of Wands, right? So look at this. Sometimes the best way to get your victory, sometimes the best way for you to succeed is to literally do nothing. Sometimes it's really about waiting for things to come to you instead of going out there trying to make something happen. This is a victory and success card, and because it shows up in your actions and options, it says that through observation, you will succeed, right? Through observation, you're going to really understand what is unfolding for you on that day-to-day level. Now, the options that are available to you this month, well, honestly and clearly with the Six of Wands, the option that is available to you is to take something across the finish line. And this may look like just information, right? This might be the information that you need to finally make a decision about something. For your communications and conversations, you've got the Justice card. This is a contract. So this could be a successful contract. This could be a pay rise. This could be a different job. This could be maybe even a partnership or a connection of some sort through your professional sphere. Now, with the Hanged Man here, this does suggest that whatever contracts, commitments, and opportunities show up of a professional nature, it is the partnership element of it that you really want to take a look at first and foremost, right? So what I mean by this is, let's say you interview for 3 jobs, 2 of them come back as acceptances. Truthfully speaking, it will probably be all 3 of them because you're Capricorn after all, right? But 2 of them come back. Look at what the team dynamic of both of those positions are going to be, because that's the part that's going to matter in the long run. Now, for those of you that are studying or in some form of academia, your Justice card is asking you to think about how much fairness and equality is in the sector that you are studying. How much of this really speaks to what you would like to, what you would like to see in the world? How much of it really resonates with you? If you are employed by somebody else, one of the ways that this could show up is that the contract needs some reconsideration. And if that is the case, because you've got it with the Six of Wands, speak up about it, because the chances are you're going to get some kind of response, right? This is a time for you to get really clear on what it is that you actually want from that. State your intentions, state your case, put it forward, and then hands off and wait for it to come back to you. For those of you that are retired, for those of you that are business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people that work for themselves, quite frankly, you win a contract. So if you're going after some business, if you're going after a contract or a client or something along those lines, it will come to you. What I will say is there's potentially a delay with this. So if you're waiting for something like this to come back or to come to you, there is a waiting part of it, right? And so my advice would be, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because you get impatient and you're waiting. Finally, when it comes to those of you that are retired and no longer working, I feel like this is the end of a contract of some sort. If this could be like, let's say you're retired and you make your final mortgage payment. Let's say that you are, whatever it is, right? There's something that you are paying off, ending, completing, culminating. It's the end of a contract, but it's like a really happy end of a contract. It's going to give you a moment. Now, what I would say to you is, if this is the case, take a moment to breathe, to feel what it feels like to be free, and then push on, all right? For your love and relations, you've got that Ace of Swords. If you are single and looking to mingle, over the course of this month, there may be more than one option if you are dating, right? You might have options available to you. With the Hanged Man, the chances are you're probably not seeing this person or these people as clearly as you might want or need to. So I would keep that as a consideration. And if you are... oh gosh, come on brain. If you are partnered, married, or in a long-term commitment, there's something about this month that suggests you are reassessing and reevaluating the relationship that you're in, and you're making a final call with this. This is kind of like we're in or we're out, we're moving or we're not, we're like whatever it is for your specific relationship, you cross a threshold this month where the final decision is in. So it's kind of like, you know, when you're voting for something and they say, right, votes are in, lines are closed. This is kind of like that, right? This is the month of the final call, the final decision. This is it. Once this has been decided and it's been talked about, there won't be any changing it. So I will say to you, when it comes to a relationship situation, do observe before you make any decisions, but do know that once you've made that decision, you're in, and that's all there is to it. For your money and materials, you've got the Ace of Pentacles, right? So what do we see? Two aces. So lots of fresh starts, lots of new beginnings. The Ace of Pentacles for your money is great because it suggests new money. For a lot of you, this could be new work, new responsibilities, new opportunities that are showing up in order to make more money. The Hanged Man with the Ace of Pentacles, though, you do want to watch out about whatever long-term financial commitments you're getting into, and just make sure that they really work for you for the long term. When it comes to your physical health and vitality, I love this card for health because it always represents like solid physical health. With the Hanged Man here, just be mindful of any and all medications that you're taking. Obviously, check in with your doctor. Even if you're taking a supplement or you're taking a new supplement, just check that you are okay to take it. All right. And then finally, when it comes to your home and environment, this is usually a new home or a shift or a change within the home or the living situation. Well, you've got the Hanged Man. So this could be a change in your home or your living situation that doesn't necessarily mean moving home. Whatever that looks like is going to be very, very interesting. So if it's not too personal, please share in the comments. I would love to hear from you. If you would like to book your personal reading with me, whether that's a session over Zoom or a personal recorded video, you can grab that on the link in the description box below. And don't forget to check out the card blending workshop. It's going to be a weekend of a lot of fun, a lot of information, and you're getting a whole bunch of bonus materials. It wouldn't be Radiant Reality without a sexy PDF, would it? All right, with that said, take care, and I'll see you soon.